of people ask me, Neil, how expensive is London? We hear all of these stories about, amazing theatre prices, mortgage just to get an ice cream in Hyde Park, although that's simply quite true. But of course, is London really expensive or more expensive than any other city if we came to visit? So I'm going to start a short series, hopefully at least, where I can show you things that you can look at for free, get pictured next to, and really have talking points with your friends when you go back home after a visit to, share wonderful little things that simply cost nothing. Now, being a northerner and being a Yorkshireman, I am very tight with money. I think that will be fair to say, right? And my advice, one of my first things I would say to you as well is, get a flask. Get a backpack, get a flask, because it's very expensive just to get, refreshments, tea, coffee, cold drinks, that sort of stuff when you're out and about in London. Very expensive, in fact. And I know that it's gone up around the world. A friend of mine who's in a show on Broadway right now was putting something on Twitter the other day about how Pret a Manger had put their prices up over there. And she's well paid and she's not paid it anymore. But of course that will be one of my first tips, but I will share some others as we progress further down to the Platinum Jubilee, because for those that are coming over here, you can have a good time without breaking the bank. But first I want to show you London's smallest police station. Oh yes, don't go anywhere. Yes, no, not that one. That's a beautiful building just off the Haymarket. There's loads of places like that actually, and they're great to just take pictures of, really. They're everywhere. This area behind me here is the backstage area of the Haymarket Theatre. And the reason why I've come here to film this today is because a lot of marches going around at the moment in central London. And of course, I know a lot of you say, oh Neil, we can't hear for the traffic and all that. So I do find quieter places to record the actual bulletins rather than standing in the thick of the crowd. Saves my hearing too. But no, this particular picture that you're seeing right now at the side of your screen is London's smallest police station. Let me explain. Way back in the 1920s, they decided to shell out this particular bollard, right? And this was used, get this, how ingenious is this? This was used as London's smallest police station. And there were two sort of open slits at the top, so you could place one or two policemen inside this bollard, and then they could keep an eye on the pickpockets, the trespassers, the people creating havoc in Trafalgar Square, perhaps doing dodgy deals. And no one, absolutely no one, knew anything about it. This was an inside secret at Scotland Yard, which is kind of like round the corner, if you like, down in Whitehall. Amazing when you think. As I say, this would be the Instagram of the day. It started in the sort of middle 20s, around about 1923 through to 1926, and it actually continued right through until the 1980s. Now, apparently what they would do is if somebody was being particularly difficult and they couldn't control them, and obviously, there was just whistles then, not necessarily radios, they would put them inside here, but the policemen would be trapped inside with them. Can you imagine? That must have been a tight squeeze, don't you think? Now, this proved incredibly ingenious, and lots of prisoners were held here on their way down to Scotland Yard. And as I say, it was one of those ingenious ideas that nobody knew about, only a select few inside Scotland Yard. So what does it house today? Well, sadly, they decided, as I say, to scrap the idea in the 80s. But if you are one of our wonderful street cleaners here, or sanitation people as they call them, that's where you now hide your mop and bucket, your spare bags, your brushes, that sort of stuff. So next time, if you're watching this and you open that door and you think, oh, I'll just get an extra bag out, or I'll just get this. If you don't know that particular story, then imagine there could have been a highly difficult criminal waiting for you as you unlock that door. Not now, of course, it could just be a brush falling out, but that's history and progression for you, isn't it? I hope you don't mind me sharing these stories. As I say, there's just lots of little things like that that may interest you, and when you come to London yourself, you might want to root it out and say, there's London's smallest police station. Neil Sean told me about that on his videos. There you go, you see, we've shared something together today. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.